Have you noticed your father no longer finishes his morning coffee? He used to sit, sip, and talk for hours. Now, he drinks half, then drifts away. You ask him what's wrong. He says, "Nothing, just tired." But deep down, something tells you, this isn't just aging. Here's what most people miss, until it's too late. Aging doesn't always knock loudly. Sometimes, it whispers. It slips in as a skipped meal, a slower walk, a smile that fades too quickly. And these whispers may be the first signs. The body is beginning to shut down. In this video, we'll uncover 5 hidden signs of decline that often show up months, sometimes a year, before major health events. You'll learn what each one means, why they matter, and what small actions you can take today to help someone you love. Sign number 4 is the one most families overlook, because it just looks like tiredness. But it might be the body's last effort to signal that the heart is slowing down. If this helps you see your parent more clearly, please like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who's quietly worried, just like you. Because sometimes awareness is the first medicine. Let me take you to the moment I realized that myself. My dad built birdhouses every weekend for 14 years. I still remember the scent of sawdust, the jazz on the radio, and the joy in his eyes when he held up a finished piece. But one winter, he just stopped. No announcement, no explanation. He simply said, "Maybe next weekend." And that weekend never came. At first we thought he was just tired. Maybe it was the cold. Maybe he'd be back in spring. But spring arrived, and the tools stayed dusty. What we didn't know then was this. When a senior suddenly stops doing what they once loved, it's not just boredom. It's a neurological flag. According to the National Institute on Aging, loss of interest in pleasurable activities is one of the earliest behavioral signs of mild cognitive impairment, MCI, and early-stage depression. The brain begins to disengage, not just from memory tasks but from emotional connection itself. They're not lazy. They're withdrawing, quietly. Let's be clear. Everyone loses interest sometimes. But when a senior who once cherished gardening, puzzles, or piano suddenly lets it go for weeks or months, it could be the mind pulling away from life. Mr. Leland, a 72-year-old I worked with, was once a passionate woodcarver. He stopped midway through a project and never returned to his bench. When we spoke months later, he admitted, "It wasn't that I couldn't do it. I just didn't feel anything about it anymore." Within a year, he was diagnosed with vascular cognitive impairment. Watch for this. They stop setting up their crafts. They cancel their regular games. They say, "Maybe later," too often. Visual. A close-up of a dusty shelf of paintbrushes. A chessboard untouched. A faded photo of someone in the garden. What can you do? Don't just ask, "Why aren't you painting anymore?" Ask, "What's felt different for you lately?" Bring them back to the story of why they once loved it. If someone in your life has gone quiet on their passions, don't let it slide. This could be their signal. Coming up next, we'll talk about a sign that hides in plain sight. Right on the dinner plate. It started with half a bowl of soup, then half a sandwich, then just crackers and tea. "My mom says she's not hungry," my sister told me. "She says eating feels like a chore now. But she used to love food, especially our Sunday roast dinners. So we asked her what changed. She just shrugged. "I don't know. I guess I just don't need as much anymore." We wanted to believe her. But something didn't sit right. Here's the truth. Subtle changes in appetite, especially a quiet withdrawal from regular meals, can be a red flag for several aging-related declines. According to the Mayo Clinic, a diminished appetite in older adults can be an early sign of depression, chronic inflammation, slowed digestive function, even congestive heart failure or early-stage cancer. It's not just about food. It's about what the body is struggling to process. When digestion slows, or when nutrient absorption decreases, the brain often shuts down hunger cues. Not because you're full, but because it doesn't know what to do with more. There's also an emotional layer. Older adults facing loneliness, grief, or a sense of loss may gradually avoid mealtimes. Eating becomes quiet, pointless, isolated. I remember Mrs. Helen, 79 years old, who once ran a small cafe. After her husband passed, she began skipping meals. Her daughter brought her lasagna, her favorite, but she barely touched it. "I just don't taste things anymore," she whispered. She wasn't sick yet, but her body had started its slow retreat from engagement. So what can we look for? Smaller portions, eaten slower, skipping meals without noticing, forgetting to eat. More than once, taste complaints, especially about salt or sweetness. 1 or 2 days isn't the issue, but when disinterest in food becomes the norm, the body could be sending a quiet alarm. What can you do? Don't scold or push. Instead, eat with them. Ask what feels different. Cook a memory-based meal. Use food as a reconnection, not just a routine. If meals are disappearing, don't wait. Because behind that untouched plate may lie a tired heart, a slowing liver, or a heavy mind. In the next section, we'll explore a sign that's often confused with just being a little clumsy, but could reveal something far deeper. It happened on the 3rd step. My uncle, 82, had walked those stairs for decades, but this time he paused. Not from breathlessness, just uncertainty. Like his body wasn't sure where the next step was. He laughed it off. "Just being careful," he said. But 2 weeks later, he stumbled over a rug and bruised his hip. It wasn't the fall that worried us. It was the moment before, the hesitation. This tiny pause in movement, especially in routine walking, can be one of the earliest signs of neuromuscular decline. According to the National Institute on Aging, even slight balance issues can indicate weakening of the cerebellum, the brain's movement coordinator, peripheral neuropathy, nerve damage, often from diabetes. Drop in leg muscle strength, especially in quadriceps and calves. And here's the hidden truth. Most seniors don't fall suddenly. They fall after weeks or months of micro-stumbles. But we miss it. Because they compensate. They hold on to furniture. They move slower. And we call it just getting old. But aging isn't supposed to mean shrinking your world to the hallway. Mr. Jonas, a retired history teacher, used to walk the neighborhood every morning. Then he began skipping curbs. Then he avoided uneven sidewalks. Then he stopped walking altogether. When we checked, his ankle reflexes were diminished, and he had early signs of Parkinsonian gait. Not enough to be diagnosed yet, but enough to quietly change how he lived. So what can you watch for? Hesitating before stepping down. Needing to think before turning. Stopping to stabilize when rising from a chair. Complaints about weird leg sensations or vague dizziness. Here's the takeaway. Balance isn't just a physical skill. It's a neurological conversation. And when that conversation slows, it means something deeper may be going wrong. If your loved one begins moving with caution, not confidence, don't brush it off. That slight pause may be their body begging for attention. And the earlier we notice, the more we can support. Through physical therapy, vitamin B12 checks, or fall prevention strategies. In the next section, we'll uncover the most misunderstood sign of all. One family's often mistake for just being sleepy. But sometimes, it's the heart, quietly failing. It started as a nap after lunch. No big deal, everyone gets sleepy after a meal, right? But then it became 2 naps, then 3. Then he began disappearing every afternoon. He just needs rest, we told ourselves. He's earned it. But I remember the day I walked into my father's room at 3 p.m., and he was sitting upright, eyes open, yet completely detached. Not sleeping, not awake, just absent. And that was the moment I knew this wasn't just fatigue. Here's what research shows. Excessive daytime sleepiness in older adults can be an early symptom of reduced cardiac output, sleep apnea, or even a buildup of neurotoxins associated with dementia. According to the Alzheimer's Association, seniors who sleep more than 9 hours a day regularly, or nap multiple times, have a significantly higher risk of cognitive decline within 2 to 3 years. Why? Because sleep is no longer restorative. It becomes a coping mechanism, the brain's escape from the effort of being alert. Mr. Donnell, 74, began falling asleep during TV shows, then during meals, then during conversations. At first, they thought it was boredom. But it turned out he had atrial fibrillation. His heart was struggling to circulate oxygen properly, and his brain was compensating by shutting down when energy ran low. So what should you look for? Falling asleep mid-conversation or mid-task. Napping at unusual hours. Sudden withdrawal after 2 p.m., confusion or irritability upon waking from naps. One of the most misread signs is this. A senior who is just resting more may actually be slipping away, hour by hour. What can you do? Track sleep patterns for a week. Ask about sleep quality, not just quantity. Encourage light physical activity in the morning. Discuss heart and lung function with their doctor. Daytime sleepiness can often begin in the chest, not the brain. If someone you love is sleeping more than they're living, don't wait. It may not be laziness. It may be the body trying to whisper something urgent. In the next section, we'll dive into the final, and most emotionally painful, hidden sign. When conversation fades, and connection begins to fracture. He was always the storyteller. At family dinners, Grandpa Ray had a joke for everyone. He'd repeat his war stories, yes, but with new flair each time. He'd light up the room. Until one summer, he didn't. At first, we thought he was just tired. But then he started sitting at the far end of the table, listening, not talking, smiling, but not joining. Then one day, he didn't come to dinner at all. This isn't just mood. Gradual withdrawal from conversation is one of the most underestimated and heartbreaking warning signs of aging. It may be subtle at first, fewer comments, shorter sentences, but soon it becomes emotional distance, as if the person is still in the room, but not really there. Here's what science says. According to a study by the University of California, San Francisco, seniors who withdraw socially have a 45% higher risk of early cognitive decline and depression. Why? Because human connection is neurological nourishment. When we stop engaging, neurons responsible for language, empathy, and memory begin to shut down. And the reasons behind withdrawal? Early memory lapses. They avoid embarrassment. Trouble hearing, but they won't admit it. Mild depression, or a deepening sense that they're no longer part of the story. I remember Ms. Clara, a 76-year-old piano teacher. Her voice used to be musical, but after her arthritis worsened, she stopped hosting students. Then she stopped calling friends. Then even speaking became an effort. Her doctor found no new disease. But emotionally, she had begun grieving her own fading presence. So what should you watch for? Saying, "I'll just listen," more often. Avoiding phone calls. Skipping group events or meals. Taking longer to reply, or not replying at all. These aren't personality changes. They're internal decisions to retreat, often made in silence. What can you do? Create small, no-pressure moments to talk. Bring up shared memories to reawaken interest. Check for hearing issues or mood shifts. Never assume silence means peace. It might mean pain, because when the voice fades, the soul begins to feel invisible. And connection is the medicine that keeps us here, alive, alert, anchored. In the final part of this video, we'll tie it all together and share how to turn these quiet warnings into powerful acts of care. You've just learned 5 signs, 5 quiet, often missed signals that someone you love may be struggling beneath the surface. None of them screamed. None of them came with warning lights. But all of them matter. Because aging doesn't always arrive with a cane or a diagnosis. Sometimes it arrives in a pause before a step, in an extra nap, in a silence at dinner. And here's the truth. These signs aren't just about aging. They're about opportunity. The opportunity to notice, to lean in, to speak up before it's too late. You don't need to be a doctor to save someone's future. You just need to pay attention. Because noticing these shifts early can open doors to healing, to therapy, to support, to dignity. And if you're seeing one of these signs in yourself, it's not a reason to panic, it's a reason to pause, to check in, to choose to care for yourself before your body forces you to. I've seen families wait too long. I've seen regret, but I've also seen transformation when someone acted early. When a daughter asked, "Dad, I noticed you're sleeping more. Can we talk?" And it changed everything. So here's what you can do next. Leave a comment sharing which sign felt most familiar to you. Or share a moment when you noticed something small that turned out to be big. Let others learn from your care. And if this video helped, please like, subscribe, and share it with one person you love. Because these signs hide in homes across the world, but they don't have to stay hidden anymore. If you found this helpful, I invite you to watch our next video. 7 daily habits that protect the aging brain. Backed by neuroscience. It's full of gentle, practical ways to turn worry into wellness. Hope into action. Because growing older shouldn't mean growing smaller. It should mean growing wiser, with help, with heart, and with each other.